Hey, I was thinking about making this really short video before uploading a much longer one to this channel, just on Giovanni Gentile's conception of art, detailed in his book The Philosophy of Art. Of course, based upon the length of this video, this is not a summary of the book's contents, and unfortunately I haven't even read it all yet. However, I can comment on some of the things Gentile himself commented on. To begin with, we need to discuss the concept of Afforial Integrity. See, when a writer or film director or video game designer or whoever it is creating a certain property, which is art, decides to throw in their message into their work, or possess their work with a meaning, as a society, we don't argue with their work meaning whatever they want it to mean, because, well, it's their work. We didn't write that book, or paint that picture, or write and direct a TV series, or an anime, a cartoon. No, we have no participation in the production of such art. Whoever is at the top of this hierarchy when it rises to making and distributing their art, well, they get to determine what their art means. There are many abstract pieces of art which don't possess a clear message, symbolism. Folks can guess at what it all means, but only one person can truly say what it means, which is the painter or drawer of the piece. The picture means whatever they say it means, but what if the author changes their mind on what it means? What if it meant one thing yesterday, and now another thing, an alternative thing today? And what if they never had any message, that the art was meaningless, but they decided to add a message later on? Are they in the right? Are they correct? Are they immune to criticism for this because they're the author? There have been certain controversies surrounding this, where something is supposedly confirmed outside the source material by the creator of the work in question. If Hideko Kojima remarks that Death Stranding was in fact genuinely about the possibility that giant robotic chickens are apparently going to take over the Earth and destroy humankind, represented ultra abstractly through bits of dialogue and visual symbolism, is he correct? Can someone outside of the company argue with him about this? Considering how opinionated I am, you might be surprised to hear that I actually hold no opinion on this. I don't know. I don't even care that much. But anyway, Gentile had a certain noteworthy opinion about the meaning of art in reference to the individuals who produce it. If someone creates something, possibly art, possibly whatever, the creator of such reality gets to claim that everything within its sphere is one thing. Why? Well, because they created it glaringly. So Gentile did hold to this belief, that of authorial integrity. What he believed, in specific, was that the author, the artist, had the right to claim that any image they see, which they created, is a representation of their beliefs, fits with their message they wanted to. Because the painter is the one who painted a picture, the picture in question is going to reflect their personal tastes, values, beliefs, and personalities. As actively generating the world within one's consciousness means that everything that is generated is going to be a reflection, a representation of the subject who manufactures it. This includes the state. So the painter is in fact correct when they state that everything within their picture is simply one thing, that all the trees, the houses, the lakes, the sunset, everything is not external to one another, but a single organism. To make matters even more simple, Axiom 1, the creator of a property or idea determines precisely what it is, what it means it represents, its fabric and nature. Axiom number 2, existence is a construct of the imagination, of collective consciousness, everyone's minds combined. And Axiom 3, because everything is perceptual in art, one can comprehend that if we're all painting the world, it's merely a landscape of our imaginary realms. This is why Gentile was fascinated with art, because it didn't bow down to the materialist notions of science and reason. Intellectualists never claimed that art must be what it literally appears to be, that it must follow the laws of science, since this makes no sense whatsoever. It is actually devoid of reason. There are many pictures and paintings that don't follow the laws of science, physics, and gravity at all, but that doesn't mean they're illogical or incorrect. Rather, the one who creates them says they are what they are, determines their fabric. Since Gentile believed reality is just consciousness, but this too is just consciousness, that meaning derives from within us, and not externally to us. The imagination could take us anywhere, while physics and science could not. Materialists are binded by limitations, since they limit themselves to the physical realm with no means of creating anything more. The imagination, however, is able to liberate everyone and ensure a perfect utopia immediately, if everyone were to believe something else. The imagination can permit the most amount of freedom, while matter is always restricting, with no one being permitted to live beyond its confines on the body and brain. Giovanni Gentile wrote on this subject in Origins and Doctrine of Fascism. Systems which, at all times, are driven by materialistic motives, which may at times assume religious or teleological ground, that deny human beings that power which is identified as liberty, and condemn them to behave as small particles in the immense sea of universal determinism, perceptually moved and agitated together with an impersonal mass of water. What power could each particle have to resist the force of the wave that carried it forward? Thus, human beings, every human being, from the time of his birth and his death, confined in the midst of all being of nature, feeling the effects of all these congruent factors, will be driven and tossed from moment to moment by the powerful currents manient in the universe. At times, the individual may imagine that his consciousness might lift itself above those factors, to resist them, to arrest them and dominate them, to employ them in the service of his own destiny. But his belief is a delusion, itself the fatal effect of the unconscious play of those representations, than themselves the effects of external factors. And again later into the book, matter is not free. Every material thing is not free precisely because it is limited. The spirit in every one of its acts is free because it is infinite, not relative to anything because it is absolute. Once the spirit is limited, liberty is alienated. The slave is not free so far as his will is circumscribed by limits imposed upon it by his master. The human spirit is not free in the face of nature, because nature confines it to narrow limits, within which only that development is permitted that nature itself allows. Gentile found particular comfort in art because it wasn't restricted by materialist conceptions of life, even by materialist philosophers themselves. It was free, it was limitless, infinite, not restrained by nature. Everything which exists in art, according to Gentile, exists as an expression of utmost creativity and passion, that which surpasses beyond mere matter, and is mind objectified onto a canvas. We are all thus constantly creating and sustaining art, every moment of our lives, whether awake or asleep, because we're conscious, and are springing to life the blocks of civilization one thought at a time. We are all therefore different kinds of artists, artists with clashing ideas, artists with agreeable ideas, artists who differ from the crowd, and others who fit right in. The universe, every inch of it, is a canvas. Our conscious essence is the paintbrush.